Nobody expected it at the time, but somehow, two sisters from South Carolina were able to turn the tides of the abolitionist movement. Of all the places and people in 18th century America, you wouldn't have expected the daughters of two plantation owners in South Carolina to be the ones who advocated for not just slave rights, but women's rights as well. That's right, soon both the North and the South would know about the GRIMKE sisters. So who are they? Well, the older of the pair, Sarah Moore GRIMKE, was born on November 26, 1792, and later grew up to be the first female to protest slavery and advocate for women's rights. 12 years soon after, and her sister Angelina GRIMKE would be born and would later grow up to join her sister in making several books addressed to women to stand up for themselves. Sarah and Angelina GRIMKE were two ride-or-die siblings who became a hot topic amongst the Southerners and Northerners. Somehow, they'd worked their way into being a thorn in the South Side and a nuisance in the Norths. Before that, though, let's get to know them. Growing up on a plantation, the two were exposed to the cruel disciplinary actions against slaves at a very early age. So after years and years of witnessing the merciless punishments and relentless harassment, the sisters gradually grew to loathe slavery more and more by the day. They believed that slaves, especially female ones, deserved better than what they were receiving from their masters and mistresses. When they were finally at the age where they could live out and about, away from the house, two of them moved up to the north in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. By 1829, both of the sisters had taken action and were now part of the Quakers. They were ready to take on slavery head-on. Sarah joined in 1821, and then her sister Angelina quickly followed. That isn't to say that things just instantly got better. Although the Quakers were absolutely honored to have the women helping their cause, they felt the two were too radical and were almost scared of them. Why? One word: equality. Whether you were part of the North or the South, neither side thought women should be granted the equal rights of men, let alone grant them the opportunity to have power that could possibly rival them. Around the 1830s, it was practically like both sides were already against the sisters. The North did not approve of the fact that they were advocating for women's rights, while the Southerners, well, they just detested the both of them because they were against slavery. To make those matters worse, in 1836, Angelina wrote a book dedicated to the Orthodox Christian women in the South, begging Southern women to change their mind and entertain the thought for once of being on equal grounds as men. In addition, Sarah too wrote a book. It was called Letters on the Equality of the Sexes, and it gives points about how slaves deserve rights too. It was official. The line had been crossed by the sisters. Both the North and the South were ready to take action on them. The South absolutely disapproved of the abolitionist messages inside of Angelina's and Sarah's books, and their supposed allies in the North disliked the idea of a woman writing about something as controversial as getting equal rights. I will admit, I hadn't heard about the GRIMKE sisters until I was assigned this project, but it appears that they definitely had an everlasting impact that still shows to this day. It's inspiring actually, as against all odds, these two women were able to overcome the huge obstacle of misogyny that they faced at that time, and at the same time they were able to aid in the noble cause of the abolishment of slavery. Furthermore, after doing a ton of research on them, I do believe that the GRIMKE sisters did in fact have an enormous impact during the abolitionist movement. Granted, their impacts aren't as obvious, iconic, or recognizable as some other abolitionists, but they certainly paved the way for a different kind of movement, which was women's rights. To just elaborate a bit more, I'd go as far as to say that they are the reason that women started getting a lot more involved in the abolitionist movement. All in all, it's clear to me that what the sisters did was certainly nothing to scoff at. Siblings don't always get along, and it's shocking to read about how close the two were for their entire lives, and how much they collaborated with each other and fought for something they believed was right. And in the end, isn't fighting for something you believe in the most important quality as an advocator, as an activist, as an abolitionist?